You could see this data flow, it's currently running. Meanwhile it's running, we can go back to our pipeline and add the next activity, which in our case it's notebook. Once our data is saved into the class lakehouse, we'll be utilizing the notebook to perform some more transformations and store our data into a curated lakehouse. First I want to copy the data, and then I want to perform the data flow task. Connect it. On success, I'm going to connect it to notebook. For the notebook, the process is quite similar. You could name it as you want. And going to the settings, you have to select the workspace that you are working on, and you need to select the notebook. If you already have a notebook, so you could just select it. Like in my case, I have already created a notebook for saving some time. Select that. If you do not have a notebook, you could click on this new button and create a new notebook the way we created our data flow. I'm gonna open my notebook. Meanwhile, we can go back to our workspace and see if the data flow is completed. If the data flow is published, we can check if our data is stored in the class lakehouse or not. You can go here and load it. Now you could see that we have our customer churn table here. You could also preview your table by clicking on it. It's gonna show you first 1,000 rows of your table. We can go back to our notebook. In your case, I will provide you the notebook, which you can just import. Like from this import option, going to notebook, you could just import your notebook. Once you have downloaded it, you could import your notebook from your computer. I'm going to open my notebook that I have already imported. As a source data, we will be using our Plans Lakehouse, because this is where we just stored our data by performing some transformations using data flow. Go to this add source option, select Lakehouse, and as I already have a Lakehouse, so I'm going to select this existing option and click add. Then from here you need to select the Clans Lakehouse and click on add. First we are importing the required libraries. Let's run this, and then we'll be loading our data into our notebook from the Clans Lakehouse. Here you see we do not have to mention the name of the lakehouse since I have already connected it as a source. I have only mentioned the table name here. Once you're gonna run this cell and create the data frame, you would see that this Data Wrangler option would get enabled. Cell is still running. Meanwhile, we can scroll down. And now our customer churn table is loaded, and I have loaded it as a pandas data frame. Once it's loaded as a data frame, you could see that this Data Wrangler option would get enabled. If you click it, you would see that it would detect your data frame automatically. So this is one of the option in notebooks within Microsoft Fabric, where you could transform your data using this Data Wrangler. By default, it just chooses the first 5,000 rows. I'm gonna exceed this limit so that my whole data would get transformed. I'm gonna select this data frame that I've just created in my notebook, and I'm gonna open this Data Wrangler. Now you could see that it would show you a summary of your data, and in the middle, you could see the summary of your data column wise. On the left, you could see it shows you some operations that you could perform on your data. For my data, I'm seeing that this tenure and balance columns, they have some missing data. Select these two columns, and for my missing values, let's say I want to fill the missing values, right, with a 0. So I can just apply this step, and I also want to remove all the rows that are duplicates. So I can go to this option, drop duplicate row, and from it would give you an option that to select the columns that you want to on the basis of row number and the customer ID. I want to drop the duplicates wherever these values are same. I'm going to apply this operation. You could see there are a number of options like formulas. You have this one hot encoding option that would be really useful for you when you're performing data engineering, feature engineering related to your ML task, or you need to perform any other even basic tasks. You could use this Data Wrangler. It's an amazing no code transformation option for you. Also, you could download your CSV after transforming. I'm just gonna go back, and it gives you an option to add the code to your notebook. With that, you can add this code into your notebook, right, and use the transform data. As I already have this code, I'm just gonna remove this one, and we are gonna run this cell, and I'm gonna save my data into the curated lakehouse. I'm saving my data with this name df clean into my curated lakehouse. Now we have performed all the transformations and saved our data into the curated lakehouse. So the cell is running. Yeah. Now our curated lakehouse would have the data that is now ready to perform any kind of analytics or ML task. So we are going to perform two tasks. The first task that we are going to perform on our curated data is the data science related task. We are going to train an ML model using our curated data, and then we'll be using that same data to create a Power BI report. These are just the basic steps that you need to perform for training your ML model. We are dropping some unnecessary columns like customer ID and row number. Then we are encoding some of our columns like gender and geography. This is now your data would look like ML flow. We are setting an experiment. We have created this experiment with name customer experiment to track the training process of our models. Then we are preparing our data set, splitting it into the training and test sets. And then we are going to use the random forest classifier as our first model. And the second model is also the random forest classifier, but with some different hyperparameters. And after that, we are going to save our models since we have defined the experiment. So it's going to save your models and the training process as well. Go to your workspace. After running this, if you go to your workspace, you could see the experiment would be created. This is our customer experiment, and within that experiment, you will be able to see all your models that you have just created. So we have this model. This was our first model and our second model. You could also compare your models like this. Could select, and this way it would give you this option to compare your model's performance. You could also customize the view, like if I want to check the precision score. You could also customize the columns like this. We are done with our first task. Now our second task was to create a Power BI report using that same data. We're gonna go to our workspace and our curated Lakehouse. Here you could see that this DF clean table is created. So this is the curated data set that we have just created and used for training our ML model. To create a Power BI report, you could just go to this new semantic model option. It would create a new Power BI semantic model for you. You could give it an appropriate name, and from here you could select the table that you want to add in your model. We just have this one table. We're going to select this and confirm. This way it's going to create a semantic model for you. Gonna take a few seconds. Once our semantic model would be ready, we could use it to create a report manually, or we could also use that semantic model to create a report. This is how our semantic model looks like. Here you could create a new report, or you could also create new measures in your data. Let's go to our workspace, navigate to our semantic model that we just created. Our semantic model. Here is our semantic model. You could click on these three dots and it give you a number of options. So with this option, you could create a report manually. But for saving time, I'm just gonna create a report. What's gonna do is gonna feed our data, perform some analysis, and would generate our report for us. Let's save the report and save. Now you could see it has created a report for us, a quite detailed report. Now we could just navigate back to our pipeline and conclude our hands-on exercise. So if you always want updated data in your fabric, for performing your task, you could go to this run option. You could schedule it. You can add the time, at what time of the day you want your pipeline to get refreshed. So let's say 12:50. And so you can select time, let's say December 2024, and you could also add the end time and just click on apply. This way, daily your pipeline would get uh, updated. It means your pipeline is gonna run daily at 12:50. This way you can always have updated data in your fabric. This is the ending point of our hands-on exercise. You could say that it illustrates how MS Fabric is an all-in-one analytics platform for data ingestion and creating business insights. Just by using the same data within MS Fabric, with using the same data, you could perform different tasks. Like we performed a data science task and a Power BI task as well. Well, this is not the end for Microsoft Fabric. You could explore various features that are in MS Fabric. You could also your understanding and dive deeper into it by you could also refer to Microsoft Learn to get more understanding of Microsoft Fabric. You could also explore the certifications related to it.